Good morning. Sorry, it's just dealing with a phone call. How are you? How are you? How is everyone? Good morning, good morning, good morning, good Vlogmas, good day, good day, good day, good day, good day, good day. How are you? I saw a lot of chat there about, was the boiler man coming or the gas man coming or something? Ellery Jones, I'm having a breather sitting in the bus shelter now. Ellery, take a breather. Take one for us. Sending you all our love. Big hugs. Anna Kite, good morning, Vixen DD. If you're listening on podcast, welcome. We won't be featuring too many photographs today, so you won't have to rush over to YouTube if you are listening. It's December. It's December the 7th, and we are about to land on Vlogmas number 7 later today. Did you enjoy Vlogmas last night? I have to confess, I was editing something else whilst Nadia was premiering it, and then it's on in the background on another monitor, and I just got hooked in at how absolutely ridiculous the two of us are. I mean, what a pair of gaff-prone morons, hey? Talk about going away for a so-called sexy, lovely time, and it didn't work. How are you? Did you enjoy it? Saucy Vlogmas last night, Russ. Actually, it just didn't get saucy, though, did it? Didn't get saucy. Phil, I know you a bit too well now, Mark, says Helen. Yeah, I didn't see the comment, but someone said soap in a soap dish or something like that. Too funny. There are two of you in here with the same name and different profiles. Are they both you? Oh, Margaret O'Brien. Are they both you, Margaret O'Brien? That's a good question. Same name, different profiles. Oh, intriguing. Susan Sellings really loved Vlogmas. She looked hilarious in the bath. Now, of course, Vlogmas is all about shift, change. It's all about contrast. And a lot of you I know are hungry for the loft. Well, that certainly happens. But things move, things evolve. Wouldn't it be just terrible if the same old shit happens all the time? But one thing I can tell you right now, there is for sure going to be some kind of drama around the trees. And yes, I'm pleased we've hit upon a new word for flip-flops. Dick flops. It was the weirdest place. The weirdest place. Good morning, Marina O'Driscoll. Hope you're well. Bring on the loft, says Susan Sellings. Looking trim, Mark. What are you doing? Just lots and lots of exercise between every now and then having something I shouldn't eat for Christmas. I was up very late last night. I was editing away, and I was up late last night. Couldn't get to sleep. So always good. Just turn your attention to some work. Bordar Ellen. What does that? Is that hello? Is that welcome? Is that Welsh or Irish? I don't know. Vlogmas has been amazing. Thank you, Bev. It's fun, isn't it? It's fun, and Dina's hysterical and annoying. And Nadia is hysterical and annoying. Lisa's been lovely. You've got lots more of Lisa coming. Woo! Have you got a lot more of Lisa coming? You've got lovely Lily. Lovely Lily is bouncing. And in fact, I think Lee is featuring in tonight's Vlogmas, so you've got all that to look forward to. Good morning in Welsh, Border Mark. Thank you, Ellen. Border. Am I pronouncing it correctly? Border Ellery. Why am I saying Border? Why am I saying it like that? I don't know. Good morning in Welsh. Thank you so much. Okay, so what are we going to be talking about today? Nadia said, you need to talk about Taylor Swift and Kim K. And I'm like, do I? Apparently their spat is continuing. We're going to be, Kemi Badenoch has talked about the idea that gender-affirming care for children is a form of conversion therapy, according to Kemi Badenoch, the Tory minister. And she's the Women and Equalities Minister, and she's looking to change the law in some sort of way to protect youngsters against what she feels is pressure to convert gender. We're going to be talking about a direct threat to the enjoyment of crackers. We're going to be talking about Hugh Grant hating playing an Oompa Loompa in Wonka. This is the big movie release of the weekend. I wasn't going to do this, but then I read the story and I thought, no, I am going to do it, because when there's an arse, there's an arse. I'm going to be talking about bad Santas. And we've got a good example of a bad Santa in Hollywood here. And it's disappointing when you discover who the bad Santa is. Any guesses who the bad Santa might be? God, what a disappointment. And obviously, right at the end, for those who, for whatever reasons, perhaps for your own mental health, your political persuasion, perhaps, because we make no secret of the fact that our hearts are very much with all innocents in the Palestine-Israel crisis. And whilst there are obviously all of the innocent hostages and families still caught up in this absolute horror, there are also a disproportionate number on the other side caught up in the horror too, and obviously partially Arabic family. We are coming at things from that side, though. Our compassion is for all sides in terms of innocence. So we'll be talking about that towards the end, because I know it's a polarizing topic and it can cause great upset and distress and upset. And so it's better that we don't hijack the chat with that, and we'll do it right at the end. So has anyone guessed who Bad Santa might be? The presenter, I saw the presenter flipping the bird, the BBC presenter. Yeah, that was funny, wasn't it? Just before they must have come out of the sting, the digital sting, coming out of the break or something, and then they come back to the BBC presenter, and as they cut to her, she's like obviously doing that to the crew. Things like that. I like that. Wasn't there that sort of? It shows humanity. It shows they're human. I love a mistake. I mean, within reason. What's the name of that Shakanaka? Was it Shakanaka, the weather presenter? Didn't he do a finger? Yeah, I was going to show that, but it's so short. Yeah, it struck me as you can well imagine doing that, can't you? And she does it on the BBC News. Went to her and they showed it. Sarah Fox, listening to Boris squirm at the COVID inquiry yesterday, lost 5,000 WhatsApp messages. It's called delete. Yep, there you go. So yeah, let's move on. It's normal. We all do that. Exactly, Mandilu. Making a mistake is always normal. It's like we were saying the other day on one of the coffee mornings. It's like we're now not allowed to be wrong. It's like obviously not hate, race hate, or anything like that. Why are we allowed to be wrong? Why can't I be wrong? And when I mean wrong, it's like you're in the wrong. Yeah, all right. I mean, so what? My emotions got me, and you can't be wrong. Like you can't get lost anymore, can you? With Google Maps and sat nav, you just can't get lost. Though Nadia makes a pretty good stab of it, if I'm honest. Hi, Carla Hatcham. Shafamaka's finger. It was Shafamaka's finger, wasn't it? Shafamaka's finger. I just want to keep saying that. It's fantastic. Shafamaka's finger. Sounds like it should be, I don't know, some kind of tourist attraction in, I don't know, Holland. Shafamaka's finger. Okay, so what is the spat? Who here is she called Swiftie? Who here's a Taylor Swift fan? Does anyone here like Taylor Swift? It's huge. I mean, obviously, lots of people do. She's massively successful, sells out tours and albums and all that malarkey. Anyone love Taylor Swiftie? Taylor Swiftie, yeah. Where are you going? Shafanaka's finger. I think that should be our new Shafanaka's finger. I'm going to start using that as a warning when something's going to happen. Right, let's have a look. Gemma Perry, nope, she's annoying. Why? Why do you find her annoying? Every time I see her interviewed, I sort of think, she's kind of all right. Couldn't tell you one song she's done, Russ Ouch. Neither could I. I haven't got a clue. I like her music, says Danica. Seems to treat her fans well. Very generous. Deserves a success. Yeah. Okay. Well, this is the story. TMZ. No apology from Kim K over leaked famous call with Kanye. This is to do, reading into this, which is, well, this feels like this is a spat about not very much. Or is it? This is allegedly about the idea that Kanye was going to feature lines about Taylor Swift, some racy kind of suggestive lines. There was a phone call. And he was going to, but Taylor Swift was upset because he was going to refer to her as his bitch. And King K said, we didn't. And then Taylor Swift said, you've edited what you recorded. And then Kim K said, I never edited the footage, another lie. I only posted a few clips on Snapchat. And then Taylor said, if you're going to apologize, you're going to have to apologize publicly. And then Kim K said, not very much, because she's not going to apologize. Is that right? I think that's it. I think that's pretty much it. So Taylor Swift feels like she's owed an apology, not because, as she likes to stress, not because she's actually pissed off with what was originally said by Kanye calling her a bitch or his bitch, but because Kim K lied about whether he said it at all and pretended that he didn't. So there you go. Whose side are you on, Kim K or Taylor Swift's? Fight! I think Mark Zuckerberg and Elon Musk should have their bout just before Kim K and Taylor lock horns. It's a he said, she said, Teresa Hutchinson. You're absolutely right. It's when you get into a school playground, isn't it? I feel like deputy head of the year, and I'm kind of walking out to the guy, Taylor, Kim, separate, get to that side of the playground. You get right. What did she say? What did he? This is a she said, he said, she said, she said. Well, there's no he here, but there is. There's a Kanye. Behave yourselves. Be friends. Say sorry. Make up. Otherwise, it's detention. That's what it's going to be. I'm on the side of I don't care. Francesca Bastos, that's exactly the side I'm on. So there we go. So let's move off Taylory. I heard Kim was great apparently in American Horror Story. Apparently American Horror Story, the series was shit, but she was brilliant. And she's landed a new comedy feature film, I think, and she's also in a new crime series with the producers of American Horror Story. So let's park the conflict to the side for a minute. Looks like Kim Kardashian's new pivot towards actress as she enters her 40s. Is she 40? I think she is 40. Is going to succeed. She's moving in the new direction, new iteration. Could we see her do a Lady Gaga? Could she be nominated for an Oscar or an Emmy or something? There you go, guys. You heard it here first. Well, you didn't. I heard it somewhere else first, and then you heard it here. And then you probably didn't hear it here first. Do you know what I mean? Who hears anything first? What is this? Heard it here first. No one heard anything first. Well, someone did. The first person who said something. You know what I'm getting at. Okay, let's get serious for a minute. Gender-affirming care for children is a form of conversion therapy. Discuss, says Kemi Badenoch. Now, Kemi Badenoch was one of the politicians, conservative politicians, obviously, who ran for the leadership. She's the Women and Equalities Minister. And she says that legislation has to address issues with gender-affirming care, which some critics argue is not the right approach for young people who are questioning their gender identity. Now, the idea behind this is, or the discussion behind this is, the extent to which young people, I think she goes further to say that she thinks, and I think this is a very contentious suggestion, she suggests that perhaps some young adults or children that are pushed, she feels pushed or encouraged or steered towards gender realignment or change, she is suggesting could simply be gay. And in the evolution of sexual awakening and gender identity awakening in your teenage years, her suggestion is that some youngsters are being sort of pushed down towards making decisions that are, if not irreversible, are sometimes kind of irreversible. She uses this case study as an example. She said, girls like Kira Bell, who were rushed onto puberty blockers by the NHS and had a double mastectomy, now regret the irreversible damage done to them. And I believe this could be she says, I believe this is a new form of conversion therapy. She said that doctors were fearful of giving honest clinical advice to a child because if they do not automatically affirm and medicalize a child's new gender, the doctor, will be labeled transphobic. What do you think? What do you think about this? I mean, I think this is an incredibly complex topic. And as I understand things, I've heard that there is an increase in the number of young adults who start. I mean, I can think of someone that we know friend of a friend, whose daughter wanted to start the process of transitioning to male, to being a boy, and started the process of hormone blocking and what have you. And then 2 years or a year and a half in, and the parents had to sort of really move and all the adjustments that have to happen. I mean, none of these things happen lightly, which was that? I saw Lee Durant say something on a live event for a famous couple, which concerned me. I always said it. I don't understand what you're saying, Julie. Sorry. Yeah, about Lee. I'm dropping Lee a line because I noticed that he hasn't been here, Lee Durrant. I hope you're well, Lee. If you're watching, I'm going to reach out to you later today. What was I saying? Where was I? What was I saying? Yeah, I think it's complex. So I think there are more cases of people who are potentially, confused. Oh yeah, I was talking about the person that we knew, and then of course, then they decided that they didn't want to transition. And in the reversal, there was as much readjustment and realignment for the entire, for the entire family and everything that goes with it. So I think, is this something that needs to be protected more? Is it necessary? I don't necessarily think it is conversion therapy. I do wonder whether a certain type of fear has crept into caregivers. I think I'm not saying it's equivalent, but there are some topics where if one gets too eggshelly around the ability to converse and ask questions and debate and discuss without fear of somehow being seen as, I don't know, transphobic or something like that. And you're just trying to better understand something that's incredibly complicated and incredibly potentially traumatic in every way, from not embracing a child's desire to transition to embracing it and then having to unembrace it because the child's unembraced it. So, I think there does need to be, at such a confusing point in your life, some kind of checks and balances around the idea that under a certain age, you can't or you shouldn't necessarily be able to make moves or make drastic moves that sort of almost irreversibly change your life. The case that she's talking about here, I think they had. Did they have a mastectomy? And then she tried to sue. She successfully sued the clinic that did it, this girl. So, it's complicated. It's complicated. Francesca Bastos, I think it's bullshit. The percentage of people who regret transition is so small, but they make the news. Good point. And the numbers of suicide for people who are denied it is so high. It's all documented. That's interesting. I also believe, and I understand, that there's a very well monitored transition period, isn't there? Sort of like, isn't it 6 months or 6 to 12 months where, you bed in and you think about things? I personally think, is there just, and this might be the case for most people, is there not just a way of being able to gently take a young adult to sort of hormonally towards, if you like, their gender destination in a way that if there's any pause, halt, shift, change of not necessarily heart, but that sort of identity confusion, crisis, whatever you want to call it, if that kicks in again, is there any way that it's reversible in a way that's not going to be long-term damaging and all that kind of stuff? I mean, it's hard, isn't it? It's massive. It's a mammoth decision and thing to realize about yourself. I do worry though, and I hear exactly what you're saying, Francesca Bastos, and I agree. I think we are in a situation, and I think where in any topic, on any subject, if conversations about it are made difficult for fear of offense all the time, and this isn't about hate and this isn't about, prejudice, this is about understanding, then, what can happen is well-meaning people can end up sort of erring on the side of caution and can make some big mistakes because they don't want to be called this, that, or the other. A small kind of similar thing is the fear, which I think is so inaccurate, of not the fear, but the attempt in the media to suggest that if you are critical of Israel, you're somehow anti-Semitic. It's the same. It doesn't mean that. If you're asking a question about the rights and wrongs of how to help youngsters come to terms with their their gender identity, doesn't mean you're anti-trans. It just doesn't, surely. We've got to be able to have a discussion about these things. Danica, there's a trans male YouTuber, let's pop yours up, that came out as trans, had one appointment, and then was booked for a mastectomy. That's too soon, in my opinion. However, that was an adult. Wow. Here's another aspect to all of this that I think doesn't get discussed, and this is appropriate to nearly everything. I saw a story today saying that sales of hearing aids are going to go through the roof, and that, yeah, of course, more as we, can analyze things more, etc. There's always a fear, isn't there? And it's the same fear that we've had around big pharma. is that as soon as private clinics are involved in all these things, you do kind of start to worry that off the NHS or off regulated kind of out of regulated institutions, is there just money in this? And so, someone somewhere is going to make a killing from the idea of encouraging people to make. I hate the financial aspect of healthcare. It's such a pernicious and Faustian kind of I don't see. It's like, this is a terrible thing to say, but it's like if your company is in the business of curing cancer, there's no two ways. There's no other way of looking at this other than you need cancer to be there. Do you know what I mean? If you were to cure it and solve it completely, you could, in the end, remove your market. Do you know what I mean? There seems to be something in it that's quite sort of. As soon as I saw that hearing aids were going to, be sold, and glasses is another classic one. It's like, we need to kind of wear glasses, kind of in some scenarios, absolutely, of course. But then I know that my eyesight has only got weaker since I ever first took the first pair of reading glasses, rather than anyone saying to me, "Why don't you try some eye exercises?" Anyway. That was a weird one. Anyway, there you go. Other news, Sean Diddy Coombs is accused of gang rape of 17-year-old girl in fourth sexual assault claim. I'm not, and I am unfamiliar with any of Sean Diddy Coombs' music, Combs, but this is a big deal. I think this is the fourth sexual assault allegation that's come against him. I think he settled out of court on the first, and more have come through. And this is just bear with me one sec. You take care. Bye-bye. Toffee, get off my leg. Get off my leg, Toffs. Toffee. Ah. Get off. Get off. Hello, sorry about that. Where were we? Come back. Boom, boom. Bullshit is a great word. So, yeah. There you go. More accusations. This is a particularly horrible one, though. I'm not going to go into the details, but that's a big story that keeps coming up, and it's like, God, the more they come, the more a sort of systemic pattern seems to be creeping through. Then, wow. Moving on to lighter stories, let's look at this. Who here has ever taken a wee in public? You've been caught short, you were on the motorway, you needed to pull over, you needed to go, you had no choice. If you were Dina, you may have even found yourself almost charting in a car or something like that. Has anyone, and Nadia almost put her bag in Soho the other night into a male urinal in Soho Square. Has anyone been caught short, gone to the loo in public? Sarah Fox, only on a remote mountainside. Good chip lollipop, Sainsbury's bag for life. It really needs to be a bag for life to cope with nads. Has anyone? I've been caught on countless times. I've been caught countless times. Needing to go for a wee, but I'll always try and get inside somewhere, because there's just that thing of, even when you're on a walk in the woods, you're just like, oh my God, I don't want us to be caught, caught in the act or anything like that. Stacey, you are We're going to call you Santa Randall from now on. You are Santa Randall. Bless you. Very sweet. 10 free memberships there to various people here. You're suddenly going to be anonymously become a family guest. So why am I asking you if you've got caught? So a man who took a wee in a lay-by was fined for littering. What do you think of this? 69-year-old man, Michael Mason. He had a weakened prostate, which of course is an issue for many men. Lots of women struggle with, being able to, incontinence and needing to wee suddenly. He went for a discreet wee, but was handed an £88 fine for littering. The question is it littering, and is it offensive? And I think it's tricky, this one, because there's many times I've been out in central London and you're driving around. That's why they put these sort of strange urinal structures in places. The Soho Square is quite a good place because it's quite badly lit. And but I mean, as a woman, why would you wouldn't want to go near Soho Square at night, because there'd be loads of men there weeing. Because men just wee, There was even a photograph of Cillian Murphy going for a wee alongside an alley by a pub in Soho. So weeing in public, I think men, again, it's that thing of some men are quite happy to just leave their stomach just out for the world and they don't care. Some men don't mind just flopping it out and going for a wee. The other day I was driving somewhere and a cyclist had just stopped, tilted to the side and was weeing out the side of his shorts. I find it disgusting, and it's a difficult one to explain to your kids, but I think one has to judge the situation. I think more often than not, if it's a man over a certain age, it's safe, and it's not late at night and they're not drunk, then perhaps, trust that it might be a prostate situation. I mean, I remember, and I'm sorry to share this with you, you might want to mute me for a second, but I remember going for a run. I think I've shared it before, running past, they're so rank, aren't they, Reese? I remember running past the church graveyard, not too far from home, and there was a man taking a poo in the churchyard. Sometimes, obviously you've got to think, is the person homeless? I mean, where on earth are they going to be able to go to the toilet and all that kind of thing? But is it littering? Is going for a wee littering? I tell you what, Natasha Haynes, unfortunately, some have left unwanted deposits on platforms, waiting rooms, and stations when the toilets are locked because of vandalism. Something I noticed very much on the subway in New York was when someone goes for a poo, they don't have to go for a poo. Sorry about that. Lorry drivers pee in plastic bottles and throw them out their windows. Oh, Jackie Valina, do they? Oh, Teresa Hutchinson, I went to Japan in October. The one thing I noticed was that you were never too far from a public loo. All of the loos I used were clean and tidy, and none smelt like old wee like UK public toilets. I mean, our toilet. Let's improve our loos, guys. But I mean, let's face it, if you can't fill a pothole, you're not going to get a cleaner toilet, are you? Crackers. Who likes crackers? I love a cracker. For me, a cracker is a great moment. Although, let's be honest, when you don't pull the longest end of the cracker, i.e. you don't get the gift, the hat, or the joke, does a little part of you die? It does in me. I almost take it personally. I think, work with my therapist has helped me with this. I don't take it so personally, but a little part of me thinks it's a little bit like when you do the wishing bone. It's like you think, that's happened once too many times now. This has to be symbolic of something. Does anyone else get that? And what about when you use a cracker and it doesn't crack? Is that what it's called, a cracker? Bang. Why aren't they called bangers? Yeah, Ellen, I really want the middle. Have you ever pulled a cracker, not one, and then literally launched yourself at the person opposite you, savaged them, and pulled it for yourself? Or have you said you held it wrong? You held it too far up the stem, and then you reach over for another one for a second go? What's wrong with that? Teresa Hutchinson, who hates it when the snap doesn't snap. Why aren't they called snappers? That's something else. So what do? You go searching for the little bit of filament, and you get it. And if you're a ADHD boy like me, you put it right next to your nose and you pull it to see if it hurts your nose. And then you do hurt your nose. You get a scab. And it's there all Christmas. Anne-Marie Shellard, I've got to share this. Anne-Marie Shellard, someone farted in front of me in the queue yesterday. We laughed because he was absolutely mortified, but it was gross. Oh, bless him. Bless him. An unprepared fart. When someone just goes, you can be disgusted. But when someone has caught someone, it's like, oh, you poor thing. Carla Hatcham, it's not Christmas without a bad joke and a paper hat. We were having a quick bite and drink with an old friend of ours who's over briefly from LA. You might be watching, Jordan. And I looked to my right and there was a table full of older people, let's be polite, all with Christmas hats on. I've never seen a more miserable bunch of people in my life. They all look, there is something, the Christmas hat and a cracker needs to change. There's something about the way it's positioned on people's heads that makes people look like they've walked straight out of the royal family and they're an ignored member at the end of a table. Don't you feel that? Oh, John Kerry farted on stage, did he? Bloody hell. Sarah Fox, once a year at the Christmas table, yes, finding where the toys have pinged to is another matter. And who loves the tiny screwdriver you get in some of them, which all dads put somewhere really safe, use for a couple of things in one Christmas, and then the next Christmas when everyone goes, quite reasonably, where's that tiny screwdriver, Dad? You haven't got a clue. You haven't got a clue because you maybe used it to, I don't know, pull some dog poo out of your shoe from walking around the garden or something like that. Good chip lollipop, you're absolutely right. Miserable people with a Christmas hat on are the funniest thing. It's the greatest thing. In fact, I want a competition. I want to see a picture gallery of all the most miserable people with Christmas hats on. It's almost like as soon as you put it on, you just look distraught, dejected, and alone. There's nothing more alone than someone with a Christmas hat from a crack. Anyway, what's the story? Shut up, Mark. Silent Night. Christmas dinner may be quieter as a major supplier of crackers is removing the snap. Guys, they're taking the snap out of our crackers for climate purposes because apparently it's the one part of a cracker that's utterly unrecyclable. Alliance National, one of Britain's largest catering suppliers, has announced it will offer crackless crackers. Well, it's not a freaking cracker, is it? Look, silver fulminate strips. I mean, none of us are using those words at the Christmas table, are we? Have you seen the silver fulminate strip? It didn't bang. The strips have been used since 1860. God, imagine the excitement in 1860. And presumably, I mean, I don't know if records exist to prove this, but the first cracker ever pulled, I guess, in 1860 could well have done quite a bit of damage, right? I mean, you know, how much do you put of the silver fulminate? How much of this silver fulminate do you put in the strip? So environmentally friendly crackers are now going to come out with a note, get this, in the box, encouraging users that as they pull and tug their cracker, they should make some noise to cover the absence of the snap. The note also says this is part of our journey to make Christmas a celebration of responsibility. There's a dark part of me, guys, that doesn't want the planet to get better after everything we said about climate change. And I'm with you and I'm signing up to it. And I know about climate anxiety like the rest of us. But I'm telling you right now, yes, Julie Hilton, I'm telling you right now, if you take the snap out of our crackers, what's Christmas about? I've had it. You can't take the snap out of the cracker. Find somewhere else to recycle or do something. You can't do it. Christmas is cancelled. Oh. Don't ask me about the chalet, Mark Burgess. Just don't mention the chalet. I have had, you're going to find out tonight. The chalet moves on tonight. There's movement with the chalet. Got the smallest grater and a cracker for tiny cheese for baby Belle. Has anyone ever played cards with the tiny pack of cards that you get in some crackers? I don't think so. Why not produce all the shitty gifts that you put in them with all of the carbon footprint and keep the silver fulminate? Come on, guys, get your priorities right. Okay. Moving on. Hugh Grant hated playing an Oompa Loompa. And I have to say you can kind of see that on his face. In sort of junket interviews promoting the film, he said, when asked, did he enjoy it? He said no. He said it was like a crown of thorns, very uncomfortable because he had to have multiple cameras all on his face, capturing all his facial expressions. He was told to use his body in certain ways, and whenever he asked for direction, they didn't give him it, so he didn't know what he was doing with his body because apparently it was being done in CGI. Got to go. Just 1 second. I will be back. It's a busy old day today. It's a busy old day today. I'll chuck an advert in there. What was I saying? He won't complain if the film does good. I think he will. So Hugh Grant said, I made a big fuss about it. I couldn't have hated the whole thing more, he said. He didn't receive a satisfactory answer as to what he was supposed to do with his body. And he said, frankly, what I did with my body was terrible. I quite like how honest he is. It's just so refreshing, isn't it? Asked if he liked the final product, the film, he said, not really. But he said, I've got lots of kids, so I took on the role. But anyway, more seriously, though, a lot of actors with dwarfism are pushing back against the film, feeling, and I know there's a lot of debate about, Reese Roberts, let's just share this, sorry, Reese. I had it to the back teeth of Hugh complaining about every damn thing, despite being one of the most privileged British actors, and that he's always able to be playing British. I know what you mean. It's kind of, he's trying, it's okay to a degree, isn't it? But it seems like he's got this problem with everything. I mean, dour, droll, self-deprecating. I mean, I like it when he described himself as looking like a scrotum. I thought that was fun. But what do we think about the dwarfism thing? It strikes me that the dwarfism debate around this and the Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs film, obviously the pushback comes from various members of the dwarfist community. I know some people don't like that word. Other people do. It's debated, so apologies if you are of the ilk that doesn't. I'm saying it as it's reported in the articles. Say that this is outrageous that Hugh Grant was given a role that would have quite naturally and normally fallen towards a section of the acting community that is often not cast enough, unless you're Peter Dinklage, who hoovers up most of the roles. And yet, at the same time, Russ, it is taking jobs away from Dawson. And yet, at the same time, it's a double-edged sword. Most swords are double-edged, aren't they? It's a double-edged. Is that the same double-edged sword? Yeah. It's a double-edged sword. Double-edged knife. Double-edged. Something double-edged. In that, on the one hand, yes, you want those roles to go towards, like in Willow, towards naturally people of the dwarfist community. But at the same time, as Amy May says, a lot of people with dwarfism also complain that they're only hired to play funny, silly characters. You can't please everyone. I suppose the answer is to have roles alongside the silly, funny roles that are not those things. And I suppose, again, maybe there's as much resentment. Thank you, Jackie Bellina. I feel like I look like a scrotum too. Maybe there's as much umbrage with Peter Dinklage. I mean, he seems to hoover up all the roles, does he not? Anyway, I think one has to go and see Wonka. Have you seen it, Reese? One has to see Wonka just to see Hugh Grant as an Oompa Loompa, if I'm honest. And also, I think Timothy Chalamet's coming for a little bit of stick. I think he looks really good in it. Oh, Cass, not mincing your words at all. Hugh Grant's a blooming ingrate. Got away with playing the same character his whole career. He does play himself. Finally, who's Bad Santa? Has anyone guessed who Bad Santa is? I think Wonka looks like a perfect Christmas movie, if you ask me. And, what better perfect Christmas movie to star every single virtual British actress and actor that familiar face is in it. It's one of those films, and it's like Paddington. Tim Allen. Tim Allen is Bad Santa. This is a story that's come out where a co-star, they've turned the Santa Claus into a series, Disney Plus series called The Santa Clauses. I've always had a bit of time for Tim Allen. It was really good. Did anyone remember that film where he played a dog? Or he was a human in a dog was in his body, and he had the big tongue, and he licked his face, and he had to run around. I'm not suggesting for a minute he did it. He did it himself, but it was funny. It was funny. So no, this isn't about Bad Santa, the film. He's a bad Santa, because Tim Allen's co-star, Casey Wilson, has accused him of being so fucking rude on the set of Disney's The Santa Clauses. She said, and this is in a recent episode of her Bitch Sesh podcast, Saturday Night Live alum Wilson said that working with Allen was the single worst experience I've ever had with a co-star ever. Isn't Tim Allen the voice, or was the voice of the original Buzz Lightyear? Yeah, I'm pretty sure he was. Yeah, Tim Allen. So she says working with him on the set of this new series Tim Allen was such a bitch. I'm in a scene, it's just me and Tim Allen, and I'm supposed to throw things at him. I think he's a burglar. So he's coming down the chimney, obviously at Santa, and I'm woken up thinking there's an intruder. She continued, so I'm throwing things at him, and then he goes over to the producer who's standing 4 feet from me, and I hear him say, you've got to tell her to stop stepping on my lines. The producer turns to me with horror, walks up to me and says, Tim would ask that you stop stepping on his lines. Wilson, the woman, the co-star of Tim Allen, said, everybody was walking on eggshells. People looked frantic. When he was done, he was so rude. He didn't make eye contact. He just dropped his Santa cloak and said, I'm leaving. And someone apparently turned to her and said, this is him on a good day. What? We don't want to hear that. How disappointing. Oh, you've heard that too, Susan Sellings, that he's rude, that he's so rude. I know he kicked up a fuss, didn't he, because he didn't voice Buzz Lightyear in an animated version of it. What a disappointment. What I don't understand is, how can you not have an awareness? How can you not have an awareness? Oh, Reese, look, that doesn't surprise me. When I was in Cannes last year, I met a guy who was working on a yacht he was renting and said he was so insufferably rude, mean, and dismissive. How can you get like that? This is bullshit, says Edward Bevington. Oh, I don't know. It's just a shame, isn't it, when you hear stuff like this? It's weird that she's come out. She said she wasn't going to talk about it. And then she said, but, I had to get past it. And she just said it. So, yeah. Anyway, insecurity can create monsters. Maybe he wants to be more than remembered as Buzz Lightyear's voice. Maybe. I don't know. I mean, I suppose Tom Hanks has got so many other roles alongside Woody. But what's wrong with being Buzz Lightyear? I can't see anything wrong with that. Pausing just for a moment. We're going to have to go quick. Oh, God, yeah, I've got to go quick. Israel and Gaza. So if you're wanting to take a time out on this, now's your opportunity. Obviously, we're not all going to agree on this, but nothing is said with any... one common theme in all of our discussions is the humanity of all innocents caught up in this. And we include the families of the still existing hostages, the families of the returned hostages and the hostages themselves, and, of course, the humanitarian crisis that is developing in Gaza. Now, I was going to play you a film, but I can't get the audio to work. But it might, let me see if I can play it just with, I don't know if I can just play it with, this is a, there's no captions. So anyway, this was the story, pamphlets being dropped on the Palestinians in Gaza, telling them to get down, basically move down to Rafah. I mean, the Rafah crossing with Egypt. It's almost, we're almost in a couple of developments. We're in a situation where pretty much Israel is asking the vast majority of the 2.2 million population to essentially squeeze up almost against the gate or the fence at the bottom of Gaza, which presents all sorts of clear humanitarian crises issues. Countless heads of various organizations, whether it be aid agencies, humanitarian aid agencies, the United Nations, have said that this is becoming, if not become, a huge humanitarian crisis, an apocalyptic situation. Famine is creeping in. Disease and death is going to start, adding to the casualties list. Whilst we have official figures of around, I'm going to say official, everyone, there's this idea that we trust one side's figures more than the other, but the official figures coming out are 16,000 deaths known in Gaza, with over 7,000 still beneath rubble. And obviously, none of this will account for the number of people who are dying from injuries afterwards, etc. Other news aspects of this: Israel is considering, or if not getting ready, to flood the tunnel networks under Gaza City with seawater. On one level, you can see how this would work as a strategic tactical measure. In terms of the belief that, obviously Hamas are, hidden underground and use these networks of tunnels. It presents a couple of dilemmas, though, for Israel and everyone, insofar as where are the hostages? And if they're in there, how do you not know, or how do you know that you're not going to, flood them out? But also, flooding the tunnels with seawater will also salinate, poison, destroy what little, proper water or good water or usable water there is in Gaza. I think what we're witnessing is something that is like a very. Things seem to be happening in slow motion, but the intensity on the ground is getting worse and worse and worse because, of course, if you imagine you're squeezing a population into a tinier and tinier and tinier sort of space, but you're still bombing and you're still shooting and you're still fighting. So the Israel-Gaza scenario isn't good. At the moment, news just in Israel says it's striking a Hamas stronghold in Jabalia refugee camp. It seems like there's no stomach now even to query the strategy of hitting places. It feels like the collateral damage outrage that surrounds some of these, civilian strikes in pursuit of Hamas. That debate seems to have sort of lessened. It's like you can only keep saying it so many times, but is this the right way to do it? So, you have to, is flooding the tunnels a different way of achieving the same goal? I think it would be really encouraging at this point, though too little too late, to try and find some kind of, or to demonstrate some capacity or willingness to kind of adopt measures or tactics that aren't so sort of damaging to innocents and civilians. And I'd also like to say yet again, because it gets forgotten, that it seems to be that there's only the only justified statistics to be upset about when it comes to the Palestinian casualties is women and children. Almost the inference being that if you're a Palestinian man, you're not innocent. I mean, it's outrageous. And by the same measure, I'd have thought also that many of the families of the male hostages that are still held or weren't released are likewise, okay, I understand that there's that, like the Titanic, you get the vulnerable and you get the women and you get the elderly out first and men are last. But there's this kind of, obviously they're the majority of the soldiers when they are soldiers, but it's an appalling, for so many Palestinian families and hostage families, they have sons who will be young adults who are innocents. And they don't get sort of a qualification, even in the reporting of the news. Reese Roberts, the fact it's going to spill over into whole new year is also more worrisome, leaves room for things to get more propulsive. There are predictions for a serious global war in 2024. The UN called for a ceasefire and has hit the alarm button, which is very rare, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, it's weird, isn't it? I always remember, and this is not making light of anything, but Robin Williams, years ago, the stand-up comedian, he did a sketch about, I presume it was about the first Desert Storm, Iraqi war. And his line about it was, that the kind of the defense idea was something like, this is the line, you cross it, you die. Oh, no, this is the line. Oh, no, this is, and the line just keeps on changing for the point at which serious, ramifications kind of appear. And it feels a little bit like that with the UN. They keep sort of drawing the next sort of, and each time they make an assessment or they call for a ceasefire, interestingly, Israel simply say they're biased. We're in a weird situation where it feels like a temperamental teenager, when told that they've done something wrong, is finding reasons and ways to always disqualify what a really serious organization's assessment of a situation is. I don't understand how it's like that thing of I couldn't have the confidence to just say this is how it is without any so there's the idea that there's no even moment of sort of maybe if the UN has said this, there could be some truth in this. That's the part of it that I find really disturbing, in much the same way as I did with the Tories during COVID. It's the apparent lack of humanity or capacity to see behind things, which worries me. So anyway, so there we go. Benjamin Zephaniah has died. Oh, Benjamin Zephaniah, the poet, author. He was also in Peaky Blinders. Oh, that's sad. That is sad. What a lovely, wonderful man. My God, Benjamin Zephaniah. Sorry for anyone who doesn't know. He's was he born in Birmingham? He had a strong accent. I can't remember. Anyway, Benjamin Zephaniah. He's passed away. 65. My God, that's so young. Anyway, sending you all regards. Obviously, Vlogmas will be landing later today. And all sorts of other weird shit too. So have a good day. Take care. and